Well, hello and good night from the shores of pristine Little Lake Fairview in beautiful Central Florida. I am Jeffrey Darty, your Christian whistleblower, and in the words of the immortal boxing referee Miles Lane, let's get it on! Tonight on the Christian Whistleblower program, we're going to be talking about EFT, the answer. If you don't know what EFT is, you'll be very surprised and very encouraged, I think, to know what it is. And what's the answer? Well, the EFT is the answer to a whole lot of questions. Basically, EFT is the most effective healing modality that I have ever seen. I think it's the most powerful spiritual technology that we employ, or certainly one of the most powerful spiritual technologies that we employ. And we'll be talking about EFT, the answer, tonight on the Christian Whistleblower Show. If you go to jeffreydarty.com, christianwhistleblower.com, get you to the same place, by the way. You can watch the video simulcast, and it'll be especially important tonight as we're looking at EFT because there's some demonstration involved. And you can also take a look on the website and look at some of the new things that we've got going on. Of course, you see there the NCK Center Live that airs Sundays at noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. And that is the NCK Center Live. It's a live broadcast, I guess webcast, of our new fellowship, which is designed to help people that are leaving big time religion find a place for fellowship and understanding. That's what it's all set up for. Underneath tonight's broadcast, you have the major prophecy there, and that's a prophecy that every American should read and understand. And then, of course, off to the right, the Confessions of an Exorcist. That's the new book that's just out. I've been spending a few hours today fulfilling orders for that after we were on the other show the other night. And if you haven't got your copy, all you have to do is click on the picture of the book there, and you can get your copy. It's available in ebook and also in paperback. And it talks about my 30 plus years of work in exorcism, talks about some very interesting stories and challenges us with some new paradigms and some new points of view and calls us to some new responsibilities as regards the spiritual realm. So I think it's probably the best work I've ever done, I think, but I always think that with every new book that I write. But at any rate, it's very, very important. It's very, very helpful. And it is certainly life-changing, not only your life, but the lives of many others and the afterlife of many others, as it were. Now, looking as we always do at Unindoctrinate Daily, and that is, of course, on jeffreydarty.com, and you can click on the Unindoctrinate Daily tab and get some daily news from around the internet, all focused on spirituality and the things that we talk about on a regular basis here on the Christian Whistleblower program. And one that I thought was interesting, it made me chuckle at first, but the more I thought about it, the more sense it made. Americans, oh, excuse me, wrong story. Why smart people are better off with fewer friends. And the writer says, let me repeat that. When smart people spend more time with their friends, it makes them less happy. And that's a very, very interesting phenomenon because I consider myself fairly smart, and I do find myself spending a lot of time alone. And I have noticed that without a doubt, across the board, spiritually at least, people that spend significant amount of time on their own, and not only that, but a specific or a considerable amount of time in silence, in contemplation, in studious or spiritual meditation, they do seem to be, and there's no doubt about it, they are much more spiritual than your average bear. They do seem to be a much smarter than your average bear as well. And when smart people spend more time with their friends, I think you know, the old saying, the more birds of a feather flock together, and there's just not that many smart people out there. I mean, you hate to say it, but it's true. There's just not that many smart people out there. And there's certainly not that many people that are involved in the things that we are interested in, the paranormal, the supernatural, you know, stretching the bounds of what is real and understandable, and challenging ourselves to grow and develop. So it seems like the more time we spend with a lot of people, and there's fewer and few people that really have any type of a connection with us, or we with them, I can see where it does make us less happy. Of course, I don't spend a lot of time with people. I spend a lot of time writing. I spend a lot of time studying. The people I do spend time with, well, you know, it is mainly family, and there have been some friends here and there. And I hope to spend more time with other people, but I have become a little bit insulated. I don't want to become a hermit, but it is interesting that smart people do tend to be better off with fewer friends, and they do tend to have fewer friends, or at least spend time with fewer friends. Of course, I guess the real key is to find a bunch of smart friends, and really ones that are smarter than you, and spend as much time with them as you can, because then you yourself can get even smarter. And following up again on the prophecy that I made concerning the American presidential race, Glenn Beck, another news day, another monumentally disturbing statement by Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck has bashed Christians. Glenn Beck has bashed Christians who are not voting for Ted Cruz. Glenn Beck says that any Christian that is voting for anyone other than Ted Cruz has not been listening to their God. How do you like that? Glenn Beck bashes Christians for not voting Cruz. Evangelicals have not been listening to their God if they don't vote for Ted Cruz. Of course, this is just another stroke of confirmation on my prophecy that Beck and Cruz believe that he is hand selected by Plastic Jesus, hand selected by the Lord to be the president of the United States. And they believe that. I believe that. Of course, we know that Plastic Jesus is not Yeshua. We know that the Lord is not the God of the Bible, but he is a God, a fallen God that's trying to bring forth a final false flag where he can usurp control of the planet. What better way than to have a patsy, a lapdog, a gopher, a boy, his own boy, in the White House? Ted Cruz believes he's that boy, and also so does Glenn Beck, apparently. Now, as we get ready to go to break here in just a little bit, this is something that sounds like a political story, but it's really not. Trump's Republican turnout boost extends to battleground states. Turnout in the Republican primaries is up 125% from 4 years ago. What does that mean to us from a spiritual perspective? When we get back from break, we'll talk about that. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, and I'll BRB. We're on a break on radio, folks, so just hold tight, and we'll be right back with the Christian Whistleblower program. We're on a break on radio, folks, so just hold tight, and we'll be right back with the Christian Whistleblower program. Glad to be back with you, folks. And it really is more than a feeling. We've got something going on here. This is the next generation of talk radio, and certainly the next generation of paranormal and alternative news information radio. Something is crack-a-lacking, and we've got it going on. Who would have thought that the next revolution would begin in the piney woods of East Texas? But brother, it's on like Donkey Kong, and we are rocking and a rolling. And it is more than a feeling, my friends. If you look at the turnout to the Republican primaries this year, it's up 125% from 4 years ago. That's simply astounding. So you've got as many new people coming out to vote Republican as voted Republican last time, and even more. And apparently a great percentage of them voting for an outsider. And again, it's what I'm trying to tell you, folks. It's more than a feeling. There really is something sweeping across at least the United States, but I have a sneaking suspicion that it's sweeping across the globe. It is that feeling of we're fed up with business as usual. We're fed up with the status quo. We finally realize that what the dominant political paradigm, the dominant conservative political paradigm within the United States is telling us, and we, I know, speaking collectively, are torching the thing. The Republican Party, as we've known it, is no more. The paradigm has been crumbled, and I'm so excited about that, not because of anything political, but because that same conservative mindset, that same conservative way of thinking, that same conservative person, that same conservative type of a lifestyle is also very much in line with the message of the Christian whistleblower, the message of the original Yeshua movement. And if we can just leverage this wave and get our information out, we will be able to let people know, hey, not only has the Republican Party, the national government, the national financial structure failed you, but guess what? That which underpins the national conservative movement, the national financial structure, the national political structure, at least on the conservative side of the aisle, that which underpins it, the religious paradigm, cannot be allowed to stand any more or any longer than the paradigm of Republican conservatism that's already been destroyed. So don't leave the job half done, folks. You have seen the cracks in the Republican conservative establishment. Keep your eyes open and shift your gaze to the dominant religious paradigm. And lo and behold, there be cracks there, folks. Wide, deep fissures. In fact, the dominant religious paradigm is teetering on the edge, and I'm doing everything I can. I've got a big sledgehammer, and I'm bashing with all I have. And I've got folks that are out there listening, and they're grabbing their own sledgehammers. We're grabbing our torches. We're grabbing our pitchforks. We're heading towards the castle, and we're calling for the death of the monster and the foul, evil creatures that created it. This is a rebellion, my friends. We are telling you, we've seen the emperor. He has no clothes, and we are coming for you. That little cloud of dust you see in your rearview mirror, that's us, and we're coming for you. Just so you know. And the fact that there's so much upheaval within conservative politics tells me that there's the same upheaval within conservative religiosity, and the people seeing a fresh new message on the political side and grabbing onto it. We're bringing them a fresh new message on the spiritual side, and it's a message, if I may say, much better than that of Mr. Trump. Much more life-changing than that of Mr. Trump. Whatever Mr. Trump can do, he cannot help you be your own guru. Whatever Mr. Trump can do, he cannot help you guide your own spirit. Whatever the Donald can do, he cannot help you master your own ascension. It's time to say to the religious dignitaries, the religious rulers, the religious slaveholders, your pastors, your priests, your gurus, your imams, your rabbis, it's time to look at them and say, you're fired. And it's time to master your own ascension, guide your own spirit, and be your own guru. That's what I'm talking about, friends. And that's what it's time for, man. It's high time. It's more than a feeling. Something's going on, and it's time for us to get it going on in our lives as well. Now, I could sit there and rant and rave about that for about 3 more hours, but we will move on to the subject matter of tonight's program. And when I say EFT, most of you think WTH. Or if I say EFT, most of you think WTF, I think a lot of you, but because most of you have never heard of EFT. And that's a crying shame, but it doesn't surprise me because it is such a fantastic and powerful modality that I believe it has been oppressed and suppressed by the dominant social culture. And for some reason, it has not taken root in the paranormal realm whatsoever. And I'm just going to say why I think it hasn't taken hold is because you can't really charge for it, but maybe one time. EFT hasn't taken hold in the paranormal realm because you can't make no money off of it long term. And we want things we can make money off of. And I'm not against making a little money if you're in the paranormal realm, but I am against you doing just like the psychologists, the psychiatrists, the pastors, the preachers, and keeping people dependent upon you to come back to get their answers, get their needs met. Shame on you. You ought to be equipping people and not keeping them coming to you to get what they need. And EFT is the most elegant and powerful healing modality that I have ever seen in my 30-plus years of evangelistic work, spiritual work. I've healed innumerable tens of thousands of people. And EFT is the most amazing thing that I've ever come across. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, but that's almost a misnomer because if you think Emotional Freedom Technique, you think, oh, well, I don't really have any emotional issues. I've got spiritual issues, bodily issues. But the thing about it is that the reason it's called Emotional Freedom Technique is because all's a big word, but almost literally, virtually all of our problems are rooted in the emotional aspect of our life and of our body, our soul, our spirit. So EFT is a tremendously effective technique that gets to the root of the issue. And we've been talking about uh, demonism. We've been talking about exorcism. We've been talking about spirits here over the past few weeks. And I've talked about the hue and how the hue is tremendously effective. And when we get back from break, we're going to start talking about EFT and how it can work hand in hand with the hue to set hue free. With EFT, I'm Jeffrey Dart, the Christian Whistleblower. We'll be right back. And we're back on break from the radio side of the house. We're talking about EFT tonight, the emotional freedom technique. And I'm going to show you the most elegant healing modality known to man. And we're going to get into the how-tos. We're going to do a little bit of definition in the next segment. We'll probably finish up the last segment with the how-tos. And if you're on the simulcast with the video, you'll be able to see me demonstrate EFT. And if you'll use it, there's no doubt that it will absolutely, positively, without a doubt, change your life, man. It's amazing stuff. And we'll be right back on the radio side with more about EFT. And we are back with you, and it'll be my privilege on Friday night to spend a little bit of time with Jeremy Scott on Dark 30 Radio. So be looking forward to that. But tonight we're talking about EFT, and EFT as it relates to demon possession, harassment by entities. EFT is especially effective. The hue is the effective means of recalibrating that spirit that is coming at you, oppressing you, harassing you, giving it just a hue, creates the frequency that makes it impossible for an unbalanced entity to stay in the vicinity of that frequency without, boom, being rebalanced. And that's what we're trying to do, is rebalance the unbalanced energy, because 99.9999999% of what comes to you, it's not a demon, it's just unbalanced energy that you yourself unbalanced in your past. And by employing the hue, you can rebalance any type of entity that's in your vicinity. And unless that entity wants to be rebalanced, it will have to leave because of the hue. But there are reasons why people continually get bombarded with entities, and why entities continue to come back to them. And some of them are just plain stupidity. And I don't have to tell you the stupid things you're doing. You know what they are. Just quit doing them, and it'll help you feel a lot better. But in spiritual terms, entities tend to come back and be drawn to and reside in what I, for lack of a better term, called nodes. There's nodes within your spirit body that these spirits, these entities, cling on to, hold on to, gather up in, are attracted to. And EFT breaks up those nodes and rids them from your energetic body. What EFT basically is a type of acupressure which helps remove the nodes in your energetic body, and every single bit of any type of illness or any type of anything that's less than absolute wellness is related to your energetic body first and foremost. And that energetic body is analogous and harmonious and synonymous, and is at least in alignment with your emotional body. And nothing becomes an illness, nothing becomes a bad thought, nothing becomes debilitating without first becoming a strong emotional state. Let me say that again. Nothing in your life ever has or ever will become debilitating without first creating a strong emotional state. Those strong emotional states create nodes, notches, nodules, doohickeys, whatever you want to call them. I don't care what you call them. They get created and they lodge themselves within your energetic body, your spiritual body, your emotional body, and many times within it, it's within your physical framework, because it is the energetic meridians of your body. And EFT is like a sledgehammer, only a very subtle sledgehammer. There's an oxymoron that will help break up these nodes, nodules, doohickeys, whatever you want to call them. I call them nodes, and allow yourself to find freedom from any and everything that keeps you bothered. Now, I do a lot of spiritual conventions, a lot of paranormal conventions. I go there, I have my table, I have my books, I am always speaking at the convention, and then I have my divining rods. You know, the divining rods, the kind of like the things you think about water. I have those. And I use those because they are the easiest and best and most profound methodology of yes and no answers that there is out there. So for usually $10, people can come up and get a mini divining reading with me, and they can get answers to yes and no questions. And the divining rods are amazing, amazing. The best yes or no answers for questions that I've ever seen. I also have the tarot there if the people need something more deep. And then I have the EFT. There's never anybody else at the convention that does the divining rods. There's never anybody else there that does the EFT. I don't know why. Again, I think it's not easy to make a bunch of money on it, and that's one of the reasons. But the bottom line is, whatever you've got going on in your life, EFT can fix it. I know that's a very strong statement, but it's a true statement. Whatever you've got going on in your life, EFT can fix it. Let me give you an example. Last night, you saw the pictures of me playing hockey. I played hockey for several years, played with the 18-year-olds in the highest leagues, and it has left me with some debilitation in my back. And not this morning, but yesterday morning, I woke up and I literally, I could not get out of bed. I actually sleep on one of those like Japanese mats. It's good for my back. And it was very difficult for me to roll over and crawl and grab a chair and pick myself up. I don't know why or what, just sometimes that happens. And before I knew about EFT, when I would have an injury like that, it would be, you know, drugs, therapy, the same old stuff. But I got myself upright and I began to do my EFT. And within a half an hour, I was still hurting, but I was able to get up, move around. Today, about, you know, now 24 plus 11 hours later, the back pain is almost completely gone. Something that used to take a week to work through. As I continue to do my sessions of EFT, it has allowed me to be virtually pain-free. If you're watching the broadcast, you can, or the webcast, you can see me moving around with no difficulties. And that is the profound nature of EFT. If you're having emotional problems, if you're having problems with phobias, if you're having problems overeating, if you're having problems with smoking, if you're having problems with physical ailments, if you're having problems with mental ailments, EFT is the best thing out there. And what EFT does, the bastardization of EFT is called tapping. I hate that. It's not tapping. And if you want to learn anything about it, don't look at the tapping. Look at Gary Craig's EFT. That's the only place to get it from, because you just, oh, well, the differences are small. Yeah, but the big things are the small things, my friends. And what EFT does, I'm just going to talk with you about and teach you the basic exercise tonight. And see, this is one of the best thing about EFT is it's so simple. And the worst thing about EFT is it's so simple, because I'll teach you this basic exercise and you'll be able to rid yourself, heal yourself, cure yourself, almost anything. So you'll never probably go past the basic exercise. And that's too bad, because there is much more depth and it becomes much more therapeutic and much more effective. But most of you will never go past this basic exercise because you won't have to, but it does get better and it does get easier. And plus, once I teach you this, you're probably not going to be, you know, compelled to come back to me to give me any money to teach you the depths of it. And that's okay. But that's one of the problems with EFT, is it's so easy that people never really get past the basics of it. But EFT basically is a series of acupressure or tapping that you do. Now, it's important that you do things in the prescribed specific order, because that's the way it works. One thing that you always want to do whenever you're doing EFT on yourself or on somebody else, and Jeremy, if you could pop me up a note when it's about time to go to break so I can wind to a good stopping spot, I'd appreciate it. You always want to be looking up, and there's a deep philosophical and physiological and spiritual reason for that we're not going to go into, but you always want to be looking upward when you're doing your EFT basic exercise. And the way to do it is, if you're right-handed, you do this to your left hand. If you're left-handed, you do this to your right hand. You want to use your strong hand to begin your EFT. And I'm right-handed, so I'll hold up my left hand, and this is where you really should be on jeffreydarty.com, christianwhistleblower.com, so you can see what I'm doing. I hold up my left hand in like a karate chop position, and I take my right hand and I'm just going to tap very subtly, but but you know, not just like baby taps, but like a tap on my, what I call the karate point. And I need to do at least 7 taps there. And since we're talking about my back pain and I want to continue to move through this back pain, here's what I do initially and originally. I look up and I say, in spite of this terrible back pain, I totally and completely accept myself. Once. In spite of this terrible back pain, even though I have this terrible back pain, I totally and completely accept myself. Twice. Even though I have this terrible back pain, I totally and completely accept myself. 3 times, looking up, tapping on your karate point, even though whatever you need, I completely and totally accept myself. Don't try to figure it out. Just go with it. We can ask questions later. And then I'm going to continue to look up, and I'm going to take my 4 fingers of my strong hand like I did, and I'm going to go right on the very crown of my head. And I'm going to look up and I'm going to tap on my head, not enough to hurt myself, but enough to be firm. And I'm going to say, even though I have this terrible back pain, I totally and completely accept myself. And you want to get at least 7 taps. Okay, so you want to be making your confessions enough times to give it 7 taps. And you only do that once. Then you move down to right, kind of like where your sagittal crest used to be if you were a Neanderthal. And you say, in spite, even though I have this terrible back pain, I totally and completely accept myself. Then you're going to move to right on the sides of your temples. Not hard here, but you got to do it. Even though I have this terrible back pain, I totally and completely accept myself. Then we're going to go right under our eyes on your orbital bone. Even though I have this terrible back pain, I totally and completely accept myself. And then under your nose with those 4 fingers, even though I have this terrible back pain, I totally and completely accept myself. And then under your bottom lip, even though I have this terrible back pain, I totally and completely accept myself. Then right under your collarbone, even though I have both sides, even though I have this terrible back pain, I completely and totally accept myself. And then if you're not in mixed company, especially you ladies, right? I'll just say it right over where your nipples are. Even though I have this terrible back pain, I know it looks funny, I completely and totally accept myself. And then finally, you give yourself a hug. Ladies, right about where your bra strap would be. Men, just right in that same spot if you wore a bra, and maybe some of you do. But even though I have this terrible back pain, I totally and completely accept myself. And see, I wasn't looking up all that time because I'm trying to keep this headset on my head, but you got to be looking up, and you do that. And if you'll do that, it's typically going to drop you the first time. Like for me, I was still feeling some pain. It's gone now. If your pain's at a 10, and I'm at these conferences consistently, if someone's at a 10, they'll do 1 round of EFT basic exercise, and it'll drop them usually below a 5, somewhere around a 4 or a 3. And you can continue to do that basic exercise as many times. I've done it, probably 100 times from yesterday. And I know it sounds crazy. I know you don't believe me. I know you don't understand it. I know you're rolling your eyes. And if you want to stay hurting, stay hurting. If you want to stay bound, stay bound. If you want to stay with the problem, stay with the problem. I'm not going to make you get better. I can't come to your house and grab you and do this to you. But if you will employ EFT, it will set you free. It's the best modality I've ever seen. If somebody wants to call in right after the break, I'll walk you through an EFT session, no cost, of course. And you'll have to tell me what you're at pain-wise before and after. If no one has the guts to call in, we'll just do it by example. But EFT for free. Give us a call after the break. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower Mutual Broadcast Network. And we're on a radio break. I love that Rick Springfield song. So we'll be back to show people what to do. What do you mean? And now, the Christian whistleblower, Jeffrey Daugherty. That's me. I'm the Christian whistleblower, and I'm here to help you out. If somebody wants to call in here before the show ends, we'll do an EFT session with you. You have to call pretty quick, though, because we want to make it apparent for people. And in the dark room chat, it says, what if it's not a physical pain? Does it work for mental and emotional pain? Yes, it does. It works just as well for emotional pain. It works just as well for mental pain. I have, Amanda, I have EFT people out of fear of dogs, I remember, out of fear of flying, out of fear of falling. There was a lady that I did the EFT session with, and we did the $10 mini session. Then we met after the show, and we did about a half-hour session. And you're not going to believe this, but she had a fear of falling. We did the EFT. The next week, I get an email from her with pictures of her bungee jumping. She goes from fear of falling to bungee jumping. I've helped people go from fear of flying to being able to almost be frequent flyers on their favorite airline. I've had people do smoking. That's a big one, an easy one. Overeating, that's a big one, an easy one. All types of phobias that you can imagine. Even had one lady that was able to get over allergies. I'm telling you, man, EFT works for anything and everything that you have problems with. Now, we've been talking about demons, entities, and I have overwhelmed in my email box after being on Coast to Coast. I know I shouldn't say the name, but and talking about demons and exorcism, I've got thousands of emails of people, can you help me? And I feel bad for people, but there's one of me, and I've been bombarded with messages. Can you help me? If you're having trouble with entities, as it looks like no one's gonna jump up and call, yes, general anxiety and depression. Here's an example for you, Amanda. Even though I am so totally depressed, I completely and totally accept myself. Even though I have tremendous anxiety, I completely and totally accept myself. Even though I have this thing bothering me that I can't even describe, I totally and completely accept myself. Just make sure, Amanda, you're tapping at least 7 times, so your statement has to be long enough to facilitate 7 taps on each area. And remember, the first time on the karate chop tap, you're doing that one 3 times. You're doing the other ones 1 time. And I guarantee you, I wish we could get somebody on the air to do this, and you will see yourself go from a 10 significantly down through the first round, and you can drop even further into 0 as you continue to do other rounds of EFT. So for the example of all of you that listened and that are calling me and writing me about, and I don't know how my phone number got out there, but I'm getting a lot of calls, and that's okay. I just can't return them right now. Even though this demon is bothering me every single night, even though I keep seeing this shadow man, even though I have this demon of fear coming against me, even though I have the ghost of my worst enemy stalking me, anything like that, whatever type of entity is affecting you, look up, do your karate chop tap, say it 3 times, and then move to the crown of your head, Move to the place right kind of across your eyebrows. Move to under your eyes. Move to your temples. Move to under your nose. Move to under your lip. Move to under your collarbones. If you're by yourself, do the nipple thing. And then finally hug yourself and tap on that tap thing. In the chat room, the question comes, how many times a day would you suggest? I will do this if I'm hurting, like when with the back. I will do this so many times that my tapping points will get sore. I will do it to the point where my tapping points, the top of my crown and are so sore, which is kind of weird when you think about the nipple area, but I will do it so many times that they'll get sore. Another question from the chat room. How about fear of public speaking? Bada bing, my friend. I have dealt with people on this and seen them speaking at the next conference. All you have to do is, even though I have this terrible fear of public speaking, I totally and completely accept myself. What I would do is set myself a time every day where I'm going to do at least 5 rounds of EFT. If I find myself with time in the day, I'll do some more EFT. And it's so fantastic. Once you start doing it, you'll never stop doing it. I like that you can even say, I know I have this unexplainable feeling. And, I've never seen anyone do that, Amanda, but I don't know why it wouldn't work, because it's accessing your emotional nodes. It's accessing your energetic hangups. It's accessing your physical pain. And when you say, I don't even know what this thing is that's bothering me, but even though this thing I can't even understand is bothering me, I totally and completely accept myself. When you say that, of course, you know within yourself that it is what it is, and it will be directed right to your point of need. Yeshua will know what I mean. I assume we're sending this to him. That's an interesting question. I don't know if Yeshua has to be bothered with this, to be frank with you. This is our energetic work with our energetic body. Now, we are part of the Elohim collective, so I would say that Yeshua is involved. I don't mean that to be censorious towards you or to be knocking you, but I just don't think that it's something that Yeshua has to get involved in. This is us taking care of ourselves. This is us doing our own work. Once you master EFT, you never have to call Jeff Darty again. Once you master EFT, you don't have to bug Yeshua even. You can just say, all right, here I go. I know how to do it. And sending it out to the universe, of course, you are sending it out to the universe, and it is going out to Yeshua in that sense. But hey, man, this is all about being a big boy, being a big girl. This is about putting on your big girl pantaloons. This is about putting on your big boy pantaloons and taking care of your own business. You don't have to run to a healer. You don't have to run to a guru. You are your guru. You are your healer. And it's just that simple. You and me, set free by EFT. How's that, baby? I'm Jeffrey Darty, the Christian whistleblower. Great show tonight. Y'all got to quit being so shy. Call in. I'm not going to holler at you. I'll be gentle. It'll be like slipping into a warm bath when you call in to this show. But I'm Jeffrey Darty, the Christian whistleblower. And until next time, I'm encouraging you, I'm doing a karate move on the show, to unindoctrinate yourself. And we are out on the radio side. And of course, we're out here on the video side as well. Thanks for joining us, and watch this over again so you can learn EFT. Give me any cards, letters. I'm Jeffrey Darty, the Christian whistleblower. Unindoctrinate yourself. Adios. See you next time.